This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 28th day of July in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting. Here's what we're tracking tonight. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has raised the issue of inclusive democracy during a telephone meeting with President Irfan Ali on Wednesday. In a statement released by the White House, it was noted that during the telephone conversation, the U.S. Vice President said that she looks forward to continuing her collaboration with President Ali in promoting inclusive democracy, economic development, and security for all Guyanese. The PP Civic Administration has been accused of undemocratic practices by the opposition and other groups, and has also been accused of not ensuring adequate consultations with stakeholders on major issues. President Ali described the telephone meeting with the U.S. Vice President as frank and open, and one which confronted big issues not only relating to Guyana, but the wider Caribbean.
It was beneficial both to Guyana and the U.S. and CARICOM. It confronted the big issues. It was very frank and open, very respectful, and it outlines the vision and supports the vision that I've been talking about.
The president, who has been meeting with U.S. government officials and lawmakers over the past 4 days as part of his official visit to Washington, said he believes the meetings have contributed significantly to Guyana-US relations.
The first thing that we need to do to advance any relationship is to have conversation, to understand each other, to share our perspective on things. May be different, but unless we share it, we cannot understand the commonality, understand where each other is coming from.
At the recently concluded Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles, both President Biden and Vice President Harris pledged to strengthen relations with the region and to advance work in the Caribbean, in areas where the Caribbean has faced challenges to overcome. More news coming up in just a moment.
Man, I've been getting this feeling lately. I don't know where it's coming from. I got this itch to win and win big, and I got to scratch it. Activate, scratch, win big with GTT's Blazing Hot Summer Promotion, which runs from July 1st to September 30th. Activate a data plan or bundle and receive a link to your digital scratch card every Saturday. Tap the link, scratch, and you can be a winner of one of our amazing prizes of electric bikes, TVs, laptops, tablets, food vouchers, and so much more. It's gonna be a blazing hot summer with GTT's Scratch and Win promotion.
Are you looking for the best high school education at affordable fees? Then register your child today at the VYC Academy. Now enrolling grade 7 and 8 students for the 2022-2023 academic year. VYC Academy, achieving academic excellence. For more information, call us on 227-1013 or WhatsApp us on 613-4806.
Guyana is receiving more profits from oil production than ExxonMobil and its partners in the Stabroek Block. So far, the country has received over $700 million in profit oil and royalty. The royalty is paid by Exxon and its partners and is not recoverable.
The 8 opposition members of parliament who were suspended last week from the National Assembly will not be paid for the duration of the suspension, which could go on for a number of months. In an initial letter to the suspended opposition members, the clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, informed them that they would be losing pay for the specific number of sittings that they have been suspended. Some were suspended for 4 sittings, while others have been suspended for 6 sittings. The clerk recalled his original letter on Wednesday and issued a new letter today informing the MPs that they would be losing their entire salaries for the duration of the suspension. Since the Parliament does not meet with a set timetable, 4 or 6 sittings could be spread across a number of months, and that means that the members of Parliament would not be paid for any of those months. The clerk also informed the members of Parliament that as part of their suspension, they will not be allowed access to the National Assembly or the facilities of the Assembly and the Parliament. The MPs that have been suspended are Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones, Ganesh Mahipal, Shara Duncan, Natasha Singh, Vince Roy Jordan, Annette Ferguson, Sabita Sarabo Halley, and Maureen Philadelphia. The suspension was handed down at last week's sitting of the Assembly, after the Assembly adopted a motion by the Privileges Committee that recommended the suspensions. Only the government members of that committee deliberated on the suspensions, and the opposition also played no role when the matter came up in the Assembly for debate. The opposition members have filed court proceedings against the suspensions. The matter is expected to be heard next week. The opposition is maintaining that the suspension of the 8 members of Parliament is illegal, since there was no fair hearing and members were never allowed to appear before the committee that handed down the sanctions. The mother of murdered school teacher Kessia Branch has written to the crime chief seeking information about the reopening of her daughter's murder case. The high school teacher died in November 2017, days after her battered body was found close to the Repentir Cemetery, where she was dumped. She passed away in the hospital while never regaining consciousness. A taxi driver was initially charged with the crime, but the case against him was recently dismissed after the prosecution could not produce any evidence linking the man to the brutal murder. Since the dismissal of the case, the family of the murdered young woman has been trying to get updates about the investigation. Earlier this week, the mother, Sunita Scott, who resides in the Bahamas, wrote to the crime chief, Wendell Blanham, seeking an update and requesting that he follows the information that came out during the preliminary inquiry. According to the grieving mother, during that preliminary inquiry for the taxi driver, information surfaced about 2 police officers who were seen on the same night with a young woman when she left a group of friends to head home. She was reportedly seen being given a ride by one of the police officers on the force's motorcycle. The mother said she remains traumatized by her daughter's murder and she wants justice. She said she is hoping that the Guyana police force will not drop the ball on the case, but will continue its investigations to track down her daughter's killer.
Are you looking for the best high school education at affordable fees? Then register your child today at the VYC Academy. Now enroll in grade 7 and 8 students for the 2022-2023 academic year. VYC Academy, achieving academic excellence. For more information, call us on 227-1013 or WhatsApp us on 613-4806.
Doors and windows, Republic. Rooms and more, Republic. A brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Does Tom know that his wife is having an affair with his best friend? He's got to know.
Calm down, he doesn't know.
Does he plan to kill them? And is there another woman in his life?
You're not obsessed with sex, are you?
Andre Wilcher, Sonia Yard, Mark-Luke Edwards, and Nuria Gerard star in the comic thriller Nothing to Die For by award-winning American playwright Michael Sasha Miller. Theatre Guild Playhouse, 28th to 31st July. Tickets $5,000 and $3,000. Directed by Russell Lancaster. You've got to see how this plays out. Get your tickets today. Adults only.
It's the return of the annual Emancipation Juve. Jump in the water. Jump in the water. July 29th, inside the National Park. Revel in pain, powder, and water while enjoying free beers all night.
If you think it's your pants, you
You ain't seen nothing yet. And if you think you see powder, you ain't see powder yet.
Admission $3,000. Juve Vibes by Super 8 one-man band. Stereo Sonic, Father Moe, Gully Ross, Diamond,
DJ Kilo, the girls from Teddy Bear,
DJ Gary,
and David Hyde.
The annual Emancipation Juve is here again. Friday, July 29th. Sponsored by Stovetop, Stack, 592 Beer,
Carrot Bay Cider,
Marvelous Entertainment,
DDENT,
Fireside Grill, 94.1 Boom FM, and Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Emancipation Juve 2022.
Make the girl them bend right over. Make the girl them bend right over. Make the girl them bend right over.
Let's tell you now that sugar workers in the Berbice area are once again calling on the government to examine the management of the Guyana Sugar Corporation, Guyana-US. On Wednesday, shop stewards of the Albion estate picketed outside the estate. According to Gawu, the workers and the stewards remain concerned that the estate and the industry continue to experience serious challenges. They complained that they had high expectations for the industry, but have been left disappointed by the management. Sugar production in the Albion estate is low, and while the workers said they recognize that the floods might have played a role, they believe management has been failing in its other responsibilities to the sugar company. Gawu said the workers have recognized that Gaisuko continues to advance targets that do not match the current productivity level. The stewards have complained that they remain at a loss over the targets that are being set, and they believe that there is a need to be honest and forthright. Gawu has been pushing for an evaluation of the current management at the sugar company. The union believes that given the amount of financial support being given to the company from the government, its management needs to be in better hands. The Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association has expressed its sadness over the deaths of two miners, 44-year-old Troy Scott of Linden and 32-year-old Sion Martin from Lethem, who perished last week following a mining pit accident at the Kumun Bank Dam, Peruni River in Region 7. Just last month, miner and dredge owner Donald Gufaya died after the mining pit he was working in at Mykobi Bank Dam collapsed. In a release today, the Miners Association said the recent mining accidents and deaths are a cause for concern. They said the manner and frequency of such deaths warrant a closer examination of the practices of the small and medium-scale miners in general. The GGDMA is reiterating its appeal to the general mining community to adhere to and implement good safety practices. The Mining Association has reminded that the mining sector is high risk and hazardous and has urged miners to follow good occupation, health and safety practices. The miners' body also said it has over the years appealed to its members and the general mining community to adhere to and implement those safety practices. The body said it recognizes that many miners cannot afford to close their operations during the rainy season since they have huge bills to pay, further compounded by an increase in operation costs. They said they also recognize that the rainy season has become prolonged and that has resulted in the instability of the soil, thus heightening the risk for workers' safety. The miners said that while they continue to recognize that the mining sector is a very high-risk industry, they're urging all their fellow miners to follow good occupational health and safety practices. To reduce the frequency of the accidents in the mining sector, the Mining Association said it will work through its Technical Services Unit to offer free technical support and advice to all miners. The GGDMA says it remains fully committed to working with the miners and stakeholders nationwide to reduce those accidents in the mining sector.
The International Monetary Fund has thrown its support behind Guyana's plans to bring down electricity costs through the landmark Gas-to-Energy project. This project is being supported by ExxonMobil and is expected to bring great relief to the people of Guyana through a massive reduction in electricity costs.
Doors and windows, rooms and more. A brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the First Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region tonight, the Trinidad Express reports that excitement turned into frustration, disgust, and anger for scores of travelers entering Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday night, as they were forced to wait for hours in long lines at the Piarco International Airport before clearing immigration. The Express said it understands that only 2 out of 15 immigration officers turned up for duty that night, and that resulted in chaos, as there was a backup of travelers from several flights which landed that evening. The situation stemmed from action being taken by immigration officers over the non-payment of outstanding overtime and other allowances. Earlier this month, immigration officers attached to the airport took a stance against working additional shifts without being paid overtime. The president of the Public Services Association, Leroy Baptiste, explained that hundreds of positions within the Immigration Division remain vacant, resulting in immigration officers having to work extra hours. He says some officers had not been paid overtime since 2019, while some traveling officers who use their vehicles for work are still waiting for their allowances for this year. In Puerto Rico, at least 5 migrants drowned and another 66 were rescued earlier today after a suspected human smuggling boat dropped the group off in waters near an uninhabited island west of Puerto Rico. Federal and local authorities searched the area near Mona Island for several hours, but have since determined that no additional people were missing based on interviews with the survivors. A U.S. Coast Guard official said at least 41 men and 25 women survived. Another spokesperson for the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency said he was not immediately able to provide additional information. The boat carrying the migrants fled the scene, and it was unclear how many people were on board at the time. The incident is the latest in a string of deadly voyages across the northern Caribbean, carrying mostly Haitian migrants fleeing their country amid a spike in gang-related killings and kidnappings. On Sunday, authorities in the Bahamas recovered the bodies of 17 migrants and rescued 25 others after their boat capsized. A criminal investigation is ongoing. And finally tonight, international news. New data from UNAIDS and the global HIV response reveals that during the last 2 years of COVID-19 and other global crises, progress against the HIV pandemic has faltered. Resources have shrunk and millions of lives are at risk as a result. The new report, In Danger, is being launched ahead of the International AIDS Conference, which is taking place in Montreal, Canada. Globally, the number of new infections dropped only 3.6% between 2020 and 2021, the smallest annual decline in new HIV infections since 2016. Eastern Europe and Central Asia, Middle East and North Africa and Latin America have all seen increases in annual HIV infections over several years. In Asia and the Pacific, the world's most populous region, UNAIDS data shows new HIV infections are rising, where they had been falling. Climbing infections in those regions are alarming. In Eastern and Southern Africa, rapid progress from previous years significantly slowed last year. And there is some positive news though, with notable declines in new HIV infections in Western and Central Africa and here in the Caribbean. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.